This video is about adverb clause. This topic is one of the most important topics in English grammar. In this video all of the points in this case be taught. Adverb clause have the same function as single word adverbs or adverbial expressions. They modify a verb by answering questions such as, when, where, how, and so on about the verb. For example, Yusuf bought a new car, single word adverb. Yusuf bought a new car last week, adverbial expression. Yusuf bought a new car after he had sold his Jeep, adverb clause. All the sentences answer the question when. About the verb. The last sentence is an adverb clause because, like all dependent clauses, it contains a subject and a verb, but it does not make sense by itself. The following words introduce adverb clause. These words called subordinating conjunctions. For time we use these words, after, before, since, as long as, when, whenever, while, until, as soon as. For place we use these words, where, wherever. For reason, since and because. For manner, as if, as though. For purpose, so that, in order that. For result, such, that, so, that. For contrast these words be used. Although, though, while, even though, in spite of the fact that. For condition, as long as, if, in case, provided that, unless, whether or not. Using comma has its rules in this case. 1. If the adverb clause precedes an independent clause, a comma must follow the adverb clause. Example: when I was a child, I loved Dracula movies. 2. If the adverb clause is within an independent clause, a comma precedes and follows the adverb clause. Once, after I had seen a Dracula movies, I had a nightmare. 3. If the adverb clause follows an independent clause, a comma is not needed. My mother would not let me watch Dracula movies because they gave me nightmares. The other examples. Please pay attention to colorful words. After it had stopped snowing, I went outside. As I was walking to the store, it began to snow again. I will never like the snow as long as I live. As soon as I returned home, I made some hot tea. My roommate had decided to go skiing before I returned. I had never seen snow until my family moved from Florida to Boston. While he was putting on his boots, I was hiding in my room. When is used for specific point or a period in time. When I met my roommate, I liked her immediately. Just is often used before the words as and when. He arrived just as we were getting ready to leave. He arrived just when we were getting ready to leave. While is used for period of time during which another simultaneous action takes place. While we were waiting inside, our friend was waiting outside. Whenever can be used for any time. Whenever I think of the time when we were roommates, the memories are always good. Until is used to indicates from an unknown point in the past to the time that something happens. My roommate and I continued to live together until she got married. Pay attention to this point that, when the verb in the independent clause is a future tense, the verb in the time clause is in the present tense. After I leave the library, I will return home. I will finish before you return home. When the adverb clause starts with since, its verb is in the simple past tense if the verb refers to an action that started and finished in the past. The present perfect, present perfect continuous or past perfect is used in the independent clause. For example, my roommate has been in the cafeteria since it opened this morning. He has been eating since the servers put out the food. When the adverb clause starts with since, its verb is in the present perfect if the verb refers to an action that started in the past and continues into the present. My roommate has not missed breakfast since he has lived in the dorm. The second part is about place. Where? Definite place. I prefer to live where the sun shines all year. Wherever. Any place. Wherever it is sunny and warm, I am happy. For purpose and result these words can be used. Since. Because. So that. In order that. In order to. Because, is used for, reason for the situation expressed in the independent clause. My brother are studying in California because they do not like snow. Since, is used to, reason for the situation expressed in the independent clause. Since it is so beautiful there, my parents are going to move. Pay attention to this point that, since can mean both time and reason. He took another course in English since his TOEFL score was so low. He has been studying very hard since the new course began. So that, in order to, in order that. Use for. Purpose for the action in the independent clause. My parents are going to move to California so that they can be closer to my brothers. So that is usually followed by modal auxiliaries can, could, may, might, will, would. We make our airline reservations early so that we can be sure of a seat. So that is usually followed by modal auxiliaries can, could, may, might, will, would. We make our airline reservations early so that we can be sure of a seat. In order that has the same meaning as so that, but it is more formal and is usually followed by may or might. For example, we make our reservation early in order that we might be assured of seats on that flight. A point about so is that, no comma precedes so, when it introduces a clause of purpose. But when it shows a result, the comma is necessary. We made airline reservations early so we would be sure of a seat. It shows a purpose. I have been working hard all year, so I am going to take a vacation during the summer. It shows a result. The next part is about manner. As. Shows, the way. In California, we can enjoy the beach as we used to in Florida. You didn't do the report as I had showed you to. Moreover, as. Shows the time too. For example, they arrived as I was leaving. As if, as though, shows how something appears, not how it is. Examples. My brothers swim as if they were fish. In California, I would feel as though I were alive again. You look as though you know each other. When the idea that follows, as if, or, as though, is untrue, a past tense is often used for a present meaning. In such sentences, were is used for all presents. I feel as if I were on top of the world. I am not top of the world. I felt as though I had been hit by a car. I was not hit by a car. As long as means that the situation in the dependent clause must be true for the situation in the independent clause to be true. Example: as long as we get your check on time, you won't have to pay a fine. The next part is condition. One word is whether or not. This word means that neither the situation nor that situation matters. Note that it is possible to separate whether and or not. Example: they are going to get married whether or not their parents approve. They are going to get married whether their parents approve or not. The other examples: if they keep it clean, I will stay with them. In case they become too messy, I am going to save enough money to get my own apartment. I will become a good water skier provided that I can find a good teacher. Unless the lessons are very cheap, I won't be able to take any. For showing result we have these words: so, that, such, that. For example, California is so beautiful that I can't imagine staying in Boston. California is such a beautiful state that I can't imagine staying in Boston. So can be used in some structures. So plus adjective plus that. It was so hot that we could not sleep. So plus adverb plus that. The air conditioner was humming so loudly that I could not sleep. So plus many plus plural noun plus that. There were so many students in the small room that I could not breathe. So plus few plus plural noun plus that. There were so few windows that the air circulation was poor. So plus much plus uncountable noun plus that. There was so much noise that I could not hear the professor. So plus little plus uncountable noun plus that. There was so little time to finish the exam that I gave up. Such can form these structures. Such plus a or and plus adjective plus noun plus that. He had such a low grade that he hid his exam paper. This is such an interesting book that I can't stop reading it. Such plus adjective plus uncountable noun plus that. She makes such good coffee that I always have more than one cup. Such plus adjective plus plural noun plus that. She wears such beautiful dresses that everyone always compliments her. For showing contrast we have these words. Pay attention to pink words. Although Boston is a beautiful city, I just do not like cold weather. Though my father likes mountains and snow, I am sure he will learn to like beaches and sand. He will probably enjoy water skiing, even though he prefers to ski in snow. While I will never miss the cold weather, I will miss my friends in Boston. I will probably visit Boston from time to time, in spite of the fact that I will never live there again. As you know. While show both contrast and time. For example, contrast: while I don't like studying English grammar, I know I have to. Time: I heard a strange noise while I was studying the other night. Comma rules. A comma can be used before the subordinating conjunctions, though, although, even though, while and in spite of the fact that, when the dependent clause follows the independent clause. This happens when the dependent clause introduces ideas that are unnecessary or connected only loosely with the ideas in independent clause. Pay attention to examples. I sometimes eat at the restaurant down the street, even though the food and the service are not very good. The restaurant does a good business, in spite of the fact that nobody I know likes it. Sequence of tenses. The simple present tense in the independent clause can be followed by any tense in the dependent clause. Examples: I feel calm although I am waiting for the dentist. I feel calm although I go to the dentist. I feel calm whenever I had a good night's sleep. I feel calm even though I was shaking earlier. When the verb in independent clause is in a past tense, the verb in the subordinate clause must also be in a past tense. I ate Chinese food every night because I liked it. I ate Chinese food every night because I was working in a Chinese restaurant. At that time, I was eating Chinese food every night because I was working in a Chinese restaurant. Reduction of adverb clause. An adverb clause can be reduced to an adverb phrase if the clause begins with after, before, since, when or while. The other examples: I fell while I was running down the stairs. I fell while running down the stairs. While I was walking to the library, I saw my psychology professor. While walking to the library, I saw my psychology professor. Before I felt the class, I asked about the exam. Before leaving the class, I asked the exam. After I had taken the class, I understood more about human nature. After taking the classes, I understood more about human nature. An adverb clause cannot be changed to a phrase if the subjects of the dependent and independent clauses are different. While I was taking the exam, the student beside me was looking at his notes. To reduce an adverb clause to a phrase, omit the subject and the be form of the verb in the adverb clause. Example: I was very sad while I was packing my suitcase. I was very sad while packing my suitcase. When there is no be form of the verb in the adverb clause, omit the subject and change the verb to its ing form. Example: before I left my country, I had a lot of things to do. Before leaving my country, I had a lot of things to do.